Houston Dynamo, Portland Timbers, Sporting Kansas, Los Angeles Galaxy,
Pitch Pass,
Toronto FC, Real Salt Lake, Chicago Fire, Columbus Crew, FC Dallas, New York Red Bulls.
Pitch Pass, your all-access credential to the people that matter in MLS. Here's your host, Greg Roach.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us, downloading the episode, and hanging for another edition of Pitch Pass. Have you told your friends about the show? I mean, seriously, let's get on it. Pitchpass.com if you would like to give them a website when you tell them about the show, or they can just subscribe either through iTunes. In fact, why don't you just go ahead and tell them to subscribe through iTunes and then have them rate the show, because I know you already have, right? And if you leave a comment of the show, that's even better. Thank you very much for doing that. But now tell your friends to do it as well. At Pitch Pass to follow us on Twitter. We've got an all-players edition of Pitch Pass for you today. Charlie Davies of the New England Revolution will join us a little bit later on, talk about what the team has just gone through and how they went about snapping that streak. They played on Wednesday and snapped their 8-game losing streak, I believe, against Colorado Rapids 3-0. We'll talk about that with Charlie and some other things as well. But first, we talk with one of the breakout players in MLS this year and a guy who's flying under the radar, but I don't know how much longer that'll happen. He is a midfielder for Columbus Crew. It's Ethan Finlay. He joins us right now. Ethan, hello. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I had a few ways that I wanted to start off our conversation, but then I just read Adam Jardy's 5 questions with you, Ethan.
Yeah.
I say we start there. What do you think?
Yeah, it seems like a good place.
Okay.
It was a fun little interview to do.
Now, how much prodding did you need for some of these questions? And I'm thinking specifically about question number 1, which is what is your favorite Disney movie? Was it a situation where you just had Lion King at the ready, or did you have to go, oh, well, wait a second, I've got this. Lion
King was it right away. When you say Disney, that's kind of what I think of. It was just kind of, I think, the one movie that we had around all the time at my house. So when I saw my brother watching it, it just became one of my favorites too. So that was the one that came right away.
That's a good one too. Look, we can make fun of Disney all we want, but there's no princesses in Lion King, so you don't lose any man points for liking Lion King when you think about it.
That's true.
Now, the follow-up question I would have is, what would be number 2, or is there a number 2?
Number 2, I really like some of the new stuff, the Pixar stuff that they've done.
Yes.
That's kind of, like, honestly, the movie Up, I was like happy and then almost in tears halfway through that movie. So I enjoy that story. It's kind of nice to go watch those movies, like the Pixar ones that, have a pretty good storyline, but it's still, animation. So I enjoy those, that's for sure.
It feels to me as if you are a Disney aficionado.
I guess somewhat. I have a 6-year-old niece and a 3-year-old nephew, so I have to know everything.
True.
Her favorite movie is Brave. So I've watched that maybe 100 times. I've watched Wreck-It Ralph probably another 100 now. So anytime I'm with them, they've got all the new ones. So
I have to think that I went down to Orlando for the Pro Disney Soccer Classic, or the Disney Pro Soccer Classic. I talked to Will down there. Maybe I didn't get a chance to talk to you because on your free time you were just bopping over to Disney World for a little bit.
Sadly we didn't get there this year.
What? Come on!
But you know what? I do love the place, so it's still fun at 23 years of age.
Totally.
That's for sure.
Totally. All right, so the only other thing I got to ask you about with this 5 questions, which, by the way, you can find at the dispatch.com, which is the Columbus newspaper, is your greatest concert experience. I'm going to ask you about that.
Say that again?
Your greatest concert experience, or your best concert experience?
Oh, yeah, that's a...
Well, do you want to say what it is before you start whatting me?
I will say, and I'm proud of it. It was a Taylor Swift concert, and it actually, not only Taylor Swift, but Kelly Pickler, who I really enjoy, and she's nice on the eyes, as well as Gloriana, who kind of became one of another favorite kind of smaller bands when I started getting into the country a couple of years back. So honestly, the concert from start to finish when he started Glory on It, and then Kelly Pickler came out, and Taylor Swift just rocked it out. It was amazing. I think she's incredibly talented, and it was fun all around.
You know, you said something that kind of got me curious. You said when I started getting into country a few years ago. To me, every country fan I know has liked country music since they were kids. So how does somebody at 20 years old start thinking to themselves, country music, I'm going to start checking out that genre of music?
You know, I went to school at Creighton. I didn't really know much about country, and I had some roommates who were from Nebraska, at least one was, and he was kind of a country music guy, and he got me into some other guys like Zach Brown Band, who's one of my favorite now. But and so I started listening to it on a consistent basis, and then probably Taylor Swift, you know, 'cause she kind of became pop a little bit now, but she was so pretty and someone that could sing. I mean, it was kind of just like one of those things, maybe, you know, being a going into college, she's just someone you kind of started to follow a little bit. And we'd play it around the apartment, and it kind of became soothing to you know, do some homework to, or to just relax and play some video games with. I know it sounds crazy, but you know, when you kind of have these Midwestern guys, and
yes.
I consider myself Midwestern, but they are, you know, big country fans, they just kind of pushed it upon me, and it became part of my music selection.
Now, I know you're only 23, but I can't imagine that you have locker room music privileges at your age and at the experience level you are. Is there ever country music in the crew locker room, or is that something the veterans kind of frown upon?
You know, there's every type of music, you know, and it's funny because sometimes, you know, you do get the privilege just based on you kind of step up and there's nothing there if you're there early enough. Yeah, they might turn it off halfway through when they get in there, but there's all types of, you know, we've got some of the Latin guys, so you get some of the Latin flair. Some guys get up doing the samba, and then there's a lot of hip hop and rap, and you know, actually, country music doesn't make it in there often, but what does make it in is like some old like rock that, you know, not I'd say the new generation, you know, kids don't listen to the old rock and 80s rock, and it's kind of nice to hear those hits that I heard my dad listen to for the last 23 years when I was in car rides with him.
Well, you brought up Latin guys. I got to ask you well, first of all, did you watch the Red Bulls RSL match yesterday?
Yes.
So you saw Jaimison Olave's grab, if you will. That's the best way I can describe it. You saw that.
Gamesmanship, right?
Yeah, gamesmanship. So first, let's go from the Olave point of view. Have you ever been in a situation where someone has given you a shot like that?
You know, I haven't too much. Not
you can't say too much.
I've had shots taken, more at the heels or to the feet.
Yes.
Maybe a push, but nothing to that region, that's for sure.
So, and then when Garcia takes the shots, and by the way, you got to go to MLSsoccer.com to check out the video. I can't really describe it. This is a family podcast, but when Garcia takes the shots, then he goes down. He gets a yellow card for embellishments. That seems a bit harsh to me.
You know, I agree with you. It's you know, he was down for a while, and
yes.
Obviously, you know, it's not a pleasant spot to get hit. But I think, you know, in that instance, you know, I think Geiger just maybe goes with nothing. If anything, maybe a yellow for Olave. But you know, it's tough, you know, for the referees to see that stuff kind of off the ball, and you know, but yeah, I think the yellow is a little harsh for the embellishment. You don't see that too often.
Well, Garcia's in a tough spot because he wants to let the ref know that he did take a shot to the groin. So, but it's very hard to see because it's so subtle, that shot. So I guess in this one instance, I could see embellishment as being necessary, but then it backfired on him either way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right on it, I think.
Let's talk about you for a second. First 2 years in MLS, you decided, scoring, don't really need to do that. This year, though, I feel like you've brought your shooting boots into the season. What's changed from the first 2 years where you scored no goals combined to this year where we're just past the halfway mark? You've already got 5 in.
Yeah. Yeah, my previous 2 years, I was primarily coming off the bench, and I think I had collective 6 starts during that time, and we played a little bit different of a system, and it wasn't for a while. I wasn't trying. Sometimes you don't quite get the bounce that you're getting, and I think that was the case. Obviously, with Coach Berhalter coming in, I kind of had a renewed confidence, and they've instilled a lot of confidence in me to play my game and to show what I can, and it feels great. I've had some great setups, and I'm playing with some great players, so that makes it that much easier. But it's fantastic, and the more we win, it makes it a lot easier.
Game-winning goals are fun to score, aren't they?
They are.
You talked about having Greg Berhalter as the new coach this year. At any point preseason, maybe in the offseason after he was hired, did he come to you and say, look, under my system, you're going to be a more important part than you have been over the last few years?
Not personally. I think he saw the potential. And, coming in, he's got to feel it out. He's got to kind of see what he can get out of each guy. And we've talked about it, and there's points in the season where, you have to make some changes. And I think I've been kind of one of those changes, and it's worked out well for us thus far. So, I'm just hoping I can continue to contribute week in, week out, and, score goals, assist, and win games. That's our job.
The Crew season thus far has been a bit inconsistent. You guys have a run of good form followed by some trouble spots, and then back into good form. You've won your last two league matches thus far. What do you guys need to do to really maintain that consistency as we head towards the last third of the season?
I think you said it right away. It's just consistent. When you struggle to score goals consistently, it's going to be difficult to grind some of those games out. I think when we score first, we tend to win a lot of games, and we're able to take control of the games possession-wise, and I think that's important. We haven't scored as many goals as I think that we should have this year, and I think that's something that we need to address, and we are addressing. We've had some guys step up in other spots. Bernardo Honor, myself, Adam Bedell's come in and showing well. Getting Aaron Schoenfeld back, from Dayton. We've got guys that are more than capable, but we got to start, scoring it and putting pressure on these other teams. Because what happens, in those previous games is we had great possession, we were playing well, but we were biting the bullet in the last 10, 20 minutes of the game. We'd concede a goal and then weren't able to come back in it, so we'd either tie or lose, and that was part of that struggle there. So if we can become consistent in front of goal and in the final third, I think we'll be a dangerous team come playoff time.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Ethan. We talked in the last show about Europeans coming over and playing in MLS and Americans going over to Europe and doing the same thing. Since then, Frank Lampard's been signed. Rumors are Ronaldinho coming in. As a young guy in the league, and I'm not going to ask you whether Lampard or Ronaldinho are good for MLS, but what I will ask you is, I know you're a guy who really likes watching European soccer, a big Bayern Munich fan. Would you rather play against guys your age who are coming from Europe or South America, or older guys coming from Europe or South America coming into the league?
Or rather,
like what would you
want to play against the best?
Okay.
And that's how I'll leave it. I think you got players that are, into their 30s who are still world-class players. Despite what their numbers might say, they're still their capability. I mean, look at what Pirlo's done. I mean, he was by far one of the best players in the World Cup. You look at his passing numbers, and I know he's into his mid-30s. So you look at a guy like that. Would I love to play against him or play with him? Of course you would. If a guy like a James Rodriguez was coming over to our league, yeah, you definitely want to be playing against the best young talent in the world. So, I think it's about playing the best. I think it's important that when these teams do sign these guys, is that they're not signing them for 100% publicity. Obviously, it's going to be partly maybe it's a sideshow, you could say, but that these guys are coming here to win. And I think you saw that with David Beckham. He came over here and his goal was to win, and he didn't leave until he did. I think Henry has that same type of mentality, and he's hoping to push through this year. So I think that's the most important thing. These guys that come over and they sign these big DP contracts, not coming back for the money, or they're not coming here for the fame and to live in the States. I think they're coming here to win championships, and that's what's important.
Do you get up, though? Do you get excited when an announcement comes out that a Frank Lampard is going to be in the same league that you are playing in?
Oh, you mean Frank's coming to my league, right?
Frank is coming to your league.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for the city of New York, and I think he'll be a great ambassador, just as one of his fellow countrymen, David Beckham, was. I think it's a great opportunity for him, and I look forward to playing against him. That's for sure.
Now I know you've watched European soccer. I'm assuming for years, so you know all about Frank Lampard. You've watched him on TV. You've watched him in front of those big crowds. Yet again, though, you are professional. Your third year in the league. At what points in your development as a person, as a soccer player, does that? Holy crap! Frank Lampard, who I watched since I was a kid, is now playing in the same team or playing in the same league against me. When does that kind of go away? Does it go away in college? Does it go away your first year, your first time doing something like that?
Yeah, I think now that you're pro, it's it's gone. I definitely think you'll find yourself in warm-ups like, hey, that's Frank Lampard, cool to see him. But once that whistle blows and your warm-up starts, you're focused on the game. It doesn't matter. He's just another player on the other field with a number 8 jersey on. For me, obviously my goal is to shut guys like that down and make sure they can't play, and that's how you have to think. You can't be sitting there and oohing and on about them during the game or before the game too much, because you can't worry about what you can't control. So I think as you get into the league, you start to learn that. And myself in my third year now, you find yourself seeing Henry, and he does spectacular things week in, week out sometimes, and you have so much respect for him. But when you're playing against him, you're ready to go, and you don't want to let him have a goal, assist, or anything.
Do you ever ask Federico about Gonzalo?
Yeah, we did. He doesn't talk too much about his brother. He was pretty nervous, obviously, for the World Cup game.
Yeah.
And he talked a little bit about that. But he's so proud. He's so proud of his brother, and he's come from a great soccer family altogether. But what he's doing here, it's kind of funny. He talks about how Gonzalo is interested in what's going on here in the MLS and what's going on with him. So it's definitely a cool family dynamic for them, and pretty special. You got two players that are playing pretty high and pretty top players in their leagues, respective leagues.
I know you guys have Kirk Urso Memorial Night coming up. You've got the match versus Chicago in Chicago this weekend, but then the following weekend is back at Crew Stadium against TFC. What are some of the festivities or events that you guys have planned for that night? And then while you're talking about that, I also wanted to ask you a little bit about the book that is now available, if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, we're dedicating the August 9th game against Toronto to Kirk Urso, who we lost back in 2012.
Yeah.
A teammate, a friend of mine, grew up playing soccer with him, and then we have a golf outing actually the next Monday afterwards that is going towards the Crew Soccer Foundation as well, the Kirk Urso Foundation. So I think that's going to be fantastic stuff, and there'll be some remembrance activities and festivities before the game. He has a plaque out in front with Lamar Hunt Senior out front, and so he's one guy that's out front in this garden area. Has a nice little plaque. So probably make a little visit out there before the game, and it's a great opportunity for us to help educate people on congenital heart disease and how you can do your best to prevent it and know some of the signs and symptoms, and it's a very tragic thing, but now we have to learn from it. And what Steve Sirk has done with the book is incredible. Just put together just about every story guys could come up with, whether it was an important one or just something funny that he might have said, or his laugh just in the room. So it's very cool. It's a cool book to have if you knew Kirk in any way, if you watch Kirk, or if you just want to see maybe kind of how guys interact in a professional club. It's a great example and a pretty solid read.
Yeah, and for people who didn't know Kirk, me being one of them, you think to yourself, oh, well, the guy was 22. He was just starting his professional career. How can there be a book about him? Which then answers its own question by saying that's how much of an impact he had in the short time that he had here, that there is a book about him.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's this is a guy who kind of got drafted, late in the supplemental and came in and started the first game actually at Colorado. It was our first trip, and I remember us just talking about it and being roommates, and pretty cool that he was able to come from where he was, win a national championship in his last year after being at UNC for 4 years, 3 years prior, and made it to the finals all those years, and didn't win one. But so pretty cool for him to win that, and then obviously he got drafted and played a handful of games before he got injured, and then obviously losing him, the tragedy of that. But an incredible kid, an incredible soccer player, and will forever be missed.
And you can go to MLSsoccer.com or the Crew's website if you would like to order the book. Before I let you go, Ethan, I got to ask you, as a guy who is just starting to get into Settlers of Catan, I hear that you are the Settlers of Catan master. True or not true?
Say that again?
Settlers of Catan, Ethan?
Oh, Settlers of Catan, wow. I mean, you just bringing it up right now makes me want to play.
Exactly. I want to bust out the board and start playing and amassing largest army and longest roads. That's what happens when you bring up Settlers of Catan.
Incredible game. We probably play 50 to 60 games over a preseason.
What?
I still have some of the win-losses. We had a good 4, 5, 6 guys kind of that would, be, rotate in and out, but it was always a consistent guy, Justin Miram, Tyson Wall, Dan Winthrow. The four of us, we spent hours around the Settlers Catan table, whether it was a early morning after breakfast or after a training session or a late night. It was definitely one of our daily routines, you could say. So it's it's kind of I don't know if you know, but it's an MLS game. I mean, everywhere you go, you'll find one team or a group of guys on a team that are playing the game. So it's kind of great. If you ever do get traded for some reason or you move on to another team, you feel like you'll still have guys you can play with in the preseason.
So you get traded, you walk into the locker room, your first question is, hey, where are the Settlers of Catan guys? Where are those guys at? Come on.
Exactly. Put my locker near them.
So give me some tips. I've only been playing for about a year, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit better. Do you have any strategies that you like to employ as you start off on a Settlers of Catan game?
Yeah, well, obviously what really is the bullseye, or what, not the bullseye, but you want to get 8 and 6 are obviously your most common. Is what you're looking at. But I think you have to, prioritize where you're going to go. If you're going to go wheat or brick or sheep. And what's important is you got to look at where those ports are. If you can find ports that a wheat port and then a wheat is right on it, and it's a decent number, even if it's a 10 or a 3, these are instrumental pieces, I think, to winning late. I think you see the guys that might go 8-6 very often in the very common, obvious places don't always win. So I'm a port guy. I've learned the port game, and that's the way I like to go. I'll tell you right now, I'm pretty strong. I go wood brick a lot. I like to be a road builder. It's really a strategy. Either you're a road builder to me, or you're a city builder and you go or wheat.
Yeah.
So it's and then my second piece is I'm trying to find a port. That's my strategy. I'll pick one of those two, and then I go find a port that is hopefully close to one of those resources. Those are my tricks.
When you said 8-6, I was like, this guy's just giving me how to play the game. But then you went port on me. That is actually the wheat next to a wheat port is something I never thought about it. And you're absolutely right, because you started massing that wheat, you immediately turned it in 3 for 1 or 2 for 1.
Yeah, it's incredible. It almost feels like it's if that number gets hot, I mean, you can win the game after 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So that's the key, I think.
I'm going to tell you one thing before I let you go. Check out a game called Pandemic. It's similar to Settlers of Catan as far as it's a strategy game, but everybody who plays is on the same team fighting against a virus taking over the world. You should check that out, all right?
All right, I'll check that out. I appreciate that.
All right, Ethan, thank you for taking some time. I appreciate that. Take it easy, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
That's Ethan Finlay. I enjoy that conversation. See, this is why we do this show. Not to talk X's and O's, but to get to know some of these players. You maybe didn't even know how good a year Ethan Finlay is having. Now you know. Now you know a little bit more about him. I think you know all about our next guest on the show. He has been in the scene for, well, over 5 years now. He currently plies his trade with New England Revolution, where he is in a good run of form. It's good to see him back in form. It's Charlie Davies. He joins us right now on the show. Charlie, how are you, sir? Good to talk to you again.
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Charlie, I say talk to you again because you and I do have a little bit of a history. The radio station I work at had a show at RFK. You, a couple of the other guys, when you were DC United, were there. You actually spent most of the time talking with Rivers Cuomo of Weezer. Do you remember that?
I do. I do indeed.
He spent a lot of time with you. He's very excited to talk to you. I was like, should we? No? Oh, you want to talk to Charlie? Okay. And you guys spent a long time talking. Do you remember anything that you and Rivers talked about?
Yeah, just he said that he's a big fan of mine and loved Mexico and Azteca Stadium, and just back playing again, and he wished me the best.
It was interesting because, you think about soccer and you think about your friends who like soccer fans and such. And then so you see somebody who you don't think of as typically somebody who would be into soccer, who was a huge soccer fan. It kind of blows your mind a little bit. What was it like for you to know that this guy who's a rock star was really, really interested in hanging out and talking to you?
It was pretty awesome. Never in my wildest imagination would I think that a huge rock star would be so into soccer, and then on top of that, a fan of mine. It was awesome. Something I definitely didn't take for granted.
We were just talking with Ethan Finlay of Columbus Crew, and he was telling us that there is a Settlers of Catan, that's a game, a Settlers of Catan crew on every team throughout MLS. Can you confirm that? Is there a group of people on the Revs who love the game Settlers of Catan, or do you have no idea what I'm talking about right now?
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
So you can say that the Revs, they do not play Settlers of Catan. What are the groups of guys? What games do they play on the road trip? Is it cards? Is it another board game? What's going on?
Kind of mix it up, I guess. The big thing right now is Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
The guys on the team love that. And then cards, 22, and poker. Texas Hold'em.
I was going to say Hold'em poker?
Yes.
Now, is this what you and Lee and Teal do, or do you guys do a little different thing during road trips?
Yeah, same guys. Lee, Teal, Darius Barnes, Kevin Alston, Stephen McCarthy, Steve Newman, Andrew Farrell. We have a really close team, so I think I'm very fortunate because like DC, it was a tight group of guys, tight-knit group of guys. But I think it's even more so with the Revs. I feel like we're all always doing the same thing. So it's been a blessing to play with these guys. I love this team. Just it's been great because we're always doing the same stuff.
Well, and it's got to be fun for you, or at least fun today for you, knowing that you guys are so close-knit. It had to have been even more frustrating going through the run of games that you just had, because you can't really go, well, it's because our team chemistry is off or whatever. It must have been perplexing, which means it must have been good, especially today, breaking that streak and with a convincing win versus the Rapids last night.
Oh, yeah. It was, the past 8 games previous to last night were, it was weighing on the guys. You could see every training. There was fighting, and it was almost like a depression cloud over the locker room. And everyone felt the pressure. And after last night, it's almost like we just came back from summer vacation. It's a great feeling. It's like, oh wow, this is what it feels like to win again. And you could tell there was a glow around each player in the locker room today, and hopefully now we can keep this momentum going into New York and get a result there. And I think if that happens, then we can blow the lid off the roof, you know?
Well, I mean, look, and you do have New York on Saturday in New York or at Red Bull Arena. It's got to be a weird sensation for you guys because, you know, you lose 2 or 3 games. It's okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You go on an 8-game losing streak. Most times when a team does that, it's a team that's not very good. But you guys had to have been shell-shocked because you're looking around going, wait a second, we don't suck. What's going on here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, beating Seattle Sounders 5-0 to losing 8 games in a row. But, I mean, we definitely have class in most of the positions on our team, and we have depth, which is, you know, it's rare when we're one of the few MLS teams that I think have depth in each position. So, yeah, it was extremely frustrating because we knew we were so good, and it was just, you know, we were missing something, and no one could really put a finger on it exactly what we were missing. We were always or we were missing something different in each game, whether it was the energy, whether it was the finishing, whether it was possession, or just making one mistake on a set piece. So I think we kind of put all those 8 games together and realized, okay, this is what we got to do to win, and we were able to do that last night.
Your quote last night was, feels like the chains were off, and I know you were referring to the match itself last night, but it's got to feel that way just going through the rest of the year, having that kind of burden of that streak and that losing run of form off of your back. Now you can move forward, and here's the thing, and I don't know if I can think of a club in any situation, in any sport, that has kind of had this unique situation. You just coming off of losing 8 games in a row in the league, yet you are still firmly in a playoff spot as you break that streak.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've told the guys after the last night that, you know, this was a valuable experience for us and a learning experience for us for the rest of the season. And we can always look back on the past 8 games before last night as the pain and how it felt and what we had to do to get out of it and how we had to come together. And if we can use this experience, you know, come playoff time, I think it's only going to make us even that much better. And a team that, you know, we can really compete for the MLS Cup this year. So I'm excited. I know everyone else on the team is very excited, especially, you know, going through something like this and still being, you know, a playoff contender and almost a top seed contender at the moment. So I think if we put everything together for the rest of the year, we're going to be very, very tough to play against. Yeah,
and you know, it's funny you brought up the fact that you were the one in the locker room saying that we're going to be better for this as we move on. That's actually a question I was going to ask you was, you know, when you're in that kind of situation, is it the coaches that say that, or is that on the players to do that? And if it's on the players, is it on the veteran guys? And is it on the veteran guys who, you know, and taking nothing away from the older non-American players, but, you know, this is something that needs to be articulated to the entire team, and maybe somebody whose English isn't their first language might have a little more difficulty putting their hand up. But, you know, you just turned 28. You're a veteran now, and you're the one who put your hand up and said, you know what, I got to be the one to tell everybody this isn't the end of the world. We're moving forward, and we're going to be better off for having gone through this.
Absolutely. I think at that point in time, it's up to a player to really come forward. Because, you know, they're the ones in the trenches. And fortunately for me, I'm a guy that, you know, everyone respects around the locker room. And, you know, as far as I've made it in my career and had a huge setback, I've had to work that much harder to get back to where I am now. And guys can respect that. And they respect how much I love the game, and they respect how much work I put into the game. And you know, I don't take that for granted either. And so I try and give back as much as I can to these guys because, you know, they're willing to listen to what I have to say. They're willing to get better. And I think that's the most important part of our team is everybody wants to get better. And no one has you know, thought that they've made it and that's it. You know, I think everyone's striving to get better every day and everyone's striving to be a better player. So when I think it's up to me, you know, personally, just to make sure that the guys know it's not the end of the world. Okay, we've lost 8 games, but still, look, we win 1 game, we're still back in it.
Yep.
We win last night, we're third place right now.
Yep.
I think, like I said, it was a valuable lesson. And I told everyone that, when we get out of this, which we will eventually, let's make sure we don't get back into anything like that. We knew how hard it was to get out of something like that. Now let's make sure that we put that in the past. We learn from it, but we never forget it. And I think that we can move forward now, and I think the chains are off and we can play free and the pressure is gone, and now we just have to enjoy the game and have fun, and I think that's when we play our best football.
You've had this calf injury that has been just, I guess, a curse this entire season. It felt like it would never go away. You're finally back. You're building up your fitness. Where are you right now, health-wise, as far as your fitness is concerned? I know the matches that you have been playing, you've been going about 60 minutes. How long until you feel like you could go 90?
I feel like I could go 90 last night. Definitely when the red card. There's less battling there because there's more space, but I'm definitely I'm taking it step by step, game by game. I feel better and better. Today, after playing last night, I feel better than I did before the game. So I think that's a huge positive step for me. And of course, it's been a battle for me. Just really, thinking that I know my body and can push it a little more, because I've always been a guy that most teammates have joked with me saying, "You need to put a collar on me, a shot collar, to tell me when to take it down, turn off the energy and the workload that I put on myself." And so now I think I've gotten a good balance of what I need to do to be ready and to still continue to get stronger and faster and better. So right now I feel like I could go 90. So we play Red Bull on Saturday, and then we have like a good week break. So maybe that'll be the time to test it to see if I can make it to 90. But I think I've made good strides, and we have a great bunch of guys on the team that have been able to push me and help me get to where I am now. So just got to keep it going, stay positive, and I'm looking forward to seeing how far I can take this.
Yeah, and it's exciting because I got to imagine the last few years have been frustrating with the inactivity of your club situation, and then getting with the club, and then trying to integrate yourself into the club, and then getting injured. It's got to be, you got to get certain measure of satisfaction. When the team was down, you were just coming back to fitness. Coach Heaps throws you in the lineup, and you're able to add a spark and make a little bit of a difference in the Revolution lineup. That's got to be good for you, or feel good for you, to be able to come in and contribute like that. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, the work behind the scenes isn't really seen too much, but in trainings, I was training, so hard and training so well, and I was really preparing myself for that moment. And I knew when it would come, I'd have to be patient, but when it would come, I have to make sure to take full advantage of it. And I think I was able to do that. So it's definitely gratifying. But I also know how fast things can change. Whether, you get injured or you get a red card accidentally, or, things can always change in a heartbeat. So, I think it's very important as a player that you always stay level-headed. You don't get too high and you don't get too low, and you always strive to get better and never be satisfied. And I think that's what's always kept me going, no matter how bad things were or how great things were. So I think, come Saturday, I got to continue to do what I've done, and I think hopefully I can even do more. It's for me, I think at this point it's about getting into a rhythm now. And now I got my second start in 3 games, and hopefully this will be my third start. And now it's just getting into a rhythm and starting to do a little bit more, being a little bit more comfortable with the guys. And obviously the guys are knowing where I like to get the ball and where I'm most dangerous. So once I think things start clicking and everyone the chemistry is there and everyone gets on the same page, I think things could go very well for me. But until that, it's just put the head down and keep working and stay positive.
Something, and feel free to shut me down on this, Charlie, if you think I'm way off base here. But something that I've noticed with Revolution Charlie Davies, as compared to, say, DC United Charlie Davies, is the fact that it almost feels to me as if you don't feel that need to score to justify or to say, well, I made my contribution, I scored a goal. That flick yesterday that you gave to Lee where he put it in, to me, it felt like a few years ago, you might have tried to turn that and put that on net yourself, whereas laying it off to a guy who you thought was in a better position, that looks to me like a little bit more of a mature Charlie Davies. Is that true? I know you love to score goals. I don't know anybody who loves to score goals more than Charlie Davies, but does it feel like now you're at the point where you go, okay, I can contribute in other ways without putting the ball in the back of the net?
You're a little bit right and a little bit off.
Hit me.
I would tell you that the difference definitely, obviously, is maturity. And also time. I've had, I didn't have that much time coming back from my injury, and I tried to rush back in and think I was going to get right back to the Charlie Davies of '09, and I put so much pressure on myself, and my body wasn't back yet. I mean, I was probably at 60% of what I am now. So, physically I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And the recovery process was very difficult from game to game. I was, after a game, it would take me 3 days to recover, 3 or 4 days. And also, the maturity part was obviously I was still maturing and I put a lot of pressure on myself, and it was almost as if I scored, I know I'm playing. And I put goals kind of as a priority over kind of overall play. And I think now I'm definitely a more well-rounded player at the moment, but I'm also, I don't have that pressure on. I didn't put that pressure on me. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying the game, and it's great to see my teammates so happy for me when I'm playing and when I'm doing well. It's yesterday when I was coming out of the game, Andrew Farrell was waving to the fans to applaud me getting substituted. And how often do you ever get to see that? I mean, that it was one of those things that that's the moment that stuck out to me out of all the things I did in the game. The assist or the moment that said it to me, said it all to me was look at how much these guys enjoy playing with you and see what you're doing. So for me, that meant it all, and it's one of those things that I wish obviously you wish you could go back into time and change things, and I think my experience at DC was unbelievable. The fans were great, and I had the best of times, great teammates, but I think I could have. I think if I pulled things back a little bit, I think I would have even done a better job than I did with DC, even scoring 11 goals. I think I still would have been an all-around player if I scored less goals and realized, it's not all about just focusing on scoring goals, but kind of getting everybody involved and working on the different facets of my game instead of just scoring. But I've had 2 years now since then, and now I think I definitely have the idea of what I'm supposed to do and how the game is supposed to be played, especially being 28 now. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm still seeing progress with how I'm playing, which I think is the most important part for me. Is I'm still getting better. So it only fuels me even more. So I'm enjoying this time of playing and getting better, and hopefully I can get back to being the player that I've always dreamed of being. So
I was reading some stuff about you getting ready for this, and I saw that one of your goals, or you've got your eye on 2018 and the World Cup, and you're 28 now, you're in your prime as we speak, but then I think to myself, well, in 4 years, that's a little ambitious at 32 to be able to do that. But then in the back of my mind, the thing that creeps in is, well, at 32, he won't have the 10 to 15 years of 40 games per year on his legs. You just won't have that. So is that kind of one of the factors why you say to yourself, why not for 2018? Because of the freshness, I guess, of your body.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I'm definitely 2 years younger than I actually am. I mean, why not have that goal? Especially when it's not, out of this world. Crazier things have happened.
Yep.
If I know the best part about Jurgen Klinsmann is that he always says the door is never closed, the door is never shut. So if you're performing, you're going to get your chance. So I know that I have the quality. I have the experience. I have all the X factor besides technique and tactical stuff, which I think I have a pretty good idea of how the game should be played and how I should play my position. So if I catch form and I continue to improve, then that's a very achievable goal. So I'm focused on just the Revolution at the moment and just continuing to get better and help this team hopefully get into the playoffs and eventually get an MLS Cup. With that being said, I'm definitely got my eyes on the future and know what I have to do and how much hard work I have to put in to hopefully get there. So that's definitely a goal of mine.
You talk about looking to the future and getting yourself prepared. I guess one of the things that you did to get yourself prepared was getting your driver's license, which was a huge deal. Now, Charlie, confirm or deny this, please. Your wife would drop you off at practice because you did not drive. Can you confirm that?
This is true.
Okay.
This is true.
Now, how much grief do you take from the guys? Because it's basically your mom dropping you off for soccer practice. It just happens to be your wife. When you get out of the car and she drives off, they don't give you any grief about that?
Oh yeah, I've been grief for years. Probably since high school, to tell you the truth.
How do you get to this point in your life without having a driver's or I don't say not having it, not even having the desire to go get it?
Yeah, desire. I mean, from high school, and then I went to Boston College, and then straight from Boston College, I went to Sweden, and I didn't need a car in Sweden.
True.
And then I went to France, where they give you a car because my club, the show, was sponsored by Peugeot because they owned our club, and they gave me a Peugeot to drive, but I obviously couldn't drive it, so. My wife, she drove me to practice, and my teammates would kill me every day. But I eventually finally had, and even when I went to DC, she drove me to practice, or I had Chris Pontius drive me. So yeah, it finally has happened for me. I got my license this February, and I feel like a grown up now. I feel like a real man. I'm excited. I
was going to ask you, are you acting like a 16, 17-year-old where you're just offering to drive people all over the place just because you want to get behind the wheel and drive a little bit?
Oh, yeah, that's me. I drive everywhere. I'll drive anywhere and wherever, how long it'll take, I'll do it. So I love it. It's almost like therapy for me, driving by yourself. You got the music on, you can relax.
Yeah,
I love it.
And I feel like you owe a lot of people a lot of rides, so now they're cashing in and asking you to drive them everywhere.
Oh yeah, my wife loves it. She she loves it. She's like, I never have felt this before, being able to be in the passenger seat and just relax. It's so nice. So.
That's fantastic. So you were able to drive to the Boston College soccer camp today, then?
Oh yes.
Oh.
I drove there. And I got to see Kelly, my old coach, and we also talked about how I'm going to be a volunteer coach this fall for Boston College. So I'm definitely excited about that. Being able to get back to my school and help these kids out. I think there's a couple of potential professionals. So I'm looking forward to.
Totally. Charlie, you're one of the great personalities in American soccer. It is always a better world when you are in form and knocking in some goals, and I know they're going to come soon. So best of luck to you for the rest of the season, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have to be on here. So thank you.
Pitch Pass.
This is your voice. This is my red, white, and blue. This is my anthem to you.
For more show information, go to pitchpass.com.